They say winning ain't everything. Well, we don't have them type conversations over here, man. Had that conversation with the losers. We trying to win at everything we do. Even in the loss, we don't see defeat. We see a lesson learned. Straight up. Look, I came into this world in 1978. The doc looked me in my face and knew I was something great. 45, 42 Prescott, that's where I'm from. Grew up in the slums around dope dealers and bums. As humble as I was, I adapted to my habitat. In my own lane though, far from where they crashing at. Dumb bar graduate, the game I'd have mastered it. Served in the Navy, look, y'all don't know the half of it. Pops passed in 01, moms passed last year. I know they up in heaven smiling down, crying mad tears, cause they son making it. No telling where I'm taking it. My city been cursed, but I feel that I'm breaking it. Coached at Wayne High in 15 in one state. Seen the fork in the road and went straight. I know what I'm worth, I'm OG King CURT. Brooklyn Nets gaming crew legend, let's work.
Hey, this is OG King CURT, your host of the OG2CENTS podcast. I want to thank each and every one of you who continue to tune in each and every week. We truly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a lot. Make sure you sub to the YouTube channel as well. Like, share, comment. We appreciate that too. Let's remember to stand up against any forms of social injustice and racism. And this episode is brought to you by Zenni Blocks. Make sure to armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks virtually clear blue blockers. It's important to protect your eyes from the harmful blue light from your digital screens, so you have less eye strain, and that makes for better sleep and performance. Check them out at zenni.com/gaming or follow them at Zenni Gaming on Twitter and Instagram. This episode 86, and be the 2K Pro-Am community then and now. Of course, there's a lot of people who know or may not know one of the trailblazers in helping build out the 2K Pro-Am community. Been at this for a long time, seen a lot of different players come and go, a lot of changes in the community. For the most part, good, but it still got some room to clean up here and there. But overall, it's a community that's thriving. It went from just a regular community to now an esport. We're still working through the transition of that. And I think in due time, it's going to be something, where you look back on it and be like, man, I was really a part of something, and then got a chance to see it grow into something greater down the road. So today I'm going to talk about that, but I'm going to have two of my buddies come on. Champ2k, run at ESGN, has been an avid 2K player, content creator. I've been in the community for a while. Just having them stop by to chime in this conversation. And then also we have Ye, 2K League champion with the Knicks gaming, and it's the first season in season 1. He also has his own brand now in 5 Wide, where he breaks down a lot of the different 2K prospects that's coming up. He does some great things on TikTok as well. Just wanted to bring these guys in and just have a discussion just basically about the state of the 2K Pro-Am community. So without further ado, Champ and Ye, just how y'all doing today, man?
I mean, I've been good, living life, just same old, nothing new by me.
Yeah. What you got for me, Ye?
Yeah, same thing. Been working.
You definitely have. And we're gonna talk about that. I mean, just jumping right into it. I mean, I guess typically I say people's off season, but it ain't been no off season for you. You've been. I'm about to give flowers right now to both of y'all. Man, well, Champ is gonna be a different direction a little bit because we had that exchange on Twitter, and I understand where you're coming from, but we're gonna dive into that. But Ye, you got 5 Wide jumping off You've been doing a lot of different things on TikTok, you know, same thing, transferring basically 5 wide to Twitter with the rankings, doing that on TikTok as well, which I think is great. You've been doing some I guess color commentating here and there with the league. That's been pretty good. Just talk about everything that I just mentioned about what you've been doing this year.
Yeah, so just definitely want to expand my horizon in terms of like creating the brand of the 5 wide across all platforms. So through TikTok, like taking all the rankings I've been doing and making little small videos for some of those guys who are on there who have their have the actual film or have actual game film themselves on Twitter, where I can be able to grab it right away and then kind of give them some exposure on TikTok and IG. Also do IG Reels along with YouTube Shorts. And it has their direct Twitter to where they can go, whoever's watching, go follow them if they want to give them some more exposure to the Prime community, because I feel like there's only a handful of guys who really do anything on TikTok. And with the 2K League, we have the How to Beat series, to where I pick one of the better players in the league, whether it be 3v3 or 5v5, and go over their strengths and what you would do to game plan against that set player or team. And I think that I've seen some success with that too, as well as the first year the league is doing that, and hopefully to branch out from there. And that you can find those episodes on YouTube as well. And along with that, just trying to find new ways to be creative. Still doing the Yay ladders. Now I'm doing a little bit differently than I usually do. Instead of doing them on Twitter, I'm doing them on TikTok. So I'm kind of rolling them out slowly. And with Philadelphia coming up, try to get back to the Yeynotgaming as well. So ranking the top 25 players. Took a little bit of a break just because we're in this period to where I'm a little more focused on the 2K League things. But once we get to see these guys in person and how they play in person, and leading into the new game, 2K23, breaking down at each position who are those top players.
Good. Now, Champ, you know, you got your ESGN apparel on and everything like that, but haven't been seeing a lot of that lately. And I guess the exchange basically on Twitter, you took a break from doing some things for some personal reasons. I know you got a lot going on professionally, but talk about what you've been doing during this time, and then we're gonna dive into some of the, my opinion on how I felt about you taking a break.
So, I mean, for me, in the whole process of the pre-draft, I spent a lot of time like covering content around, the community, just kind of building things up. That's kind of what led to me getting verified on the Twitch platform. It was something that like I was really on that grind. And since the moment the game dropped to like leading up to basically the draft, I was probably doing 3 or 4 streams every week, and they're, just constant streams over and over again, uploading it to YouTube, trying to build a YouTube platform and trying to eventually get that monetized to where, again, like doing this is great. I think me and Ye, us doing this is something that we've had a passion for. But at the same time, financially has to make sense for us to be, the time we put in, we need to realistically be able to still like financially take care of ourselves when we're doing this content. And again, for me, I mean, part of the break wasn't all just based off of like, I've been experiencing this for years where like I get backlash or I get some type of push against my content. And that's not 100% the reason why I've kind of taken the break. Part of it is obviously with school. A lot of people know that right now I am in nursing school. So it's definitely something that is a challenge, and I have to focus on that. I actually do finish, I'll be halfway through nursing school, and I'll have my LPN in August, and I'll be continuing my RN next January, hopefully as long as I get into that program. But for me, most of the pause is just kind of just to put my focus more on something else, but also like to kind of reevaluate how I'm going to take my approach on a lot of things too, because it's like, for me, I think that, I think with what I do, I expect it to be controversial, and that's the point of it, to kind of get to people engaged. And people have always misinterpreted kind of what my goals have been. Like, people always look at it as clout chasing or looking at it as a way for me to like get attention. And it's not always been about the attention for me. It's been more about trying to grow this community and bring eyes that like outside eyes. And like, that's something that has always been like essentially my goal. And people have never truly understood that. And another thing, I don't like the idea that when I do my content, I do cover and I do give my opinions, that people takes a 2K opinion that I have of them and they pull it to another direction outside of 2K. And that was something that kind of was very distasteful for me to kind of be doing things. And that's why for me, taking this break and what I've done is I want to approach things differently. I've been building on TikTok. So right now, I don't really post much about what I've been doing on TikTok, but I'm almost at 1,000 followers on TikTok. I've been building a TikTok platform where we have I've had TikToks that have been reaching that consistent level of 3,000 views, some hitting 50,000. Like I've been doing that, and I've been taking clips of like the NBA 2K League, and I've been taking clips that are all around gaming, because essentially ESGN is the entertainment sports gaming network. It's meant to cover all of gaming, and that's the long-term goal for me. 2K is kind of just a stepping stone, but like I said, for me, I wouldn't say that it's like me, I'm going to completely stop. Like I've been posting stuff here and then. Here I did a recent tiers list where Ye was involved. I know JT and them were involved, and I posted that out there and got some reactions from that. But for me this season, I've kind of just like been focusing more on school over the stuff right now in 2K. So
no, and that's well put. I didn't even know that you were doing anything on TikTok, so that's great. I mean, if you ask for my 2 cents, or even if you're not asking, I'm gonna tell you this. I learned this from Famous. I started taking my TikToks and putting them on my IG reels and putting them on my Facebook reels, and before you know it, I got into the content creators program, and now I get paid both on Facebook and Instagram for my reels. And the thing about it is, I think one of the things that I did accidentally smart that I wasn't really trying to do is when I came up with the whole OG King CURT, that's what I put on all my platforms except for Facebook. I do have an OG King CURT Facebook, but I got my personal account verified. If I can do it all over again, I probably would have switched that up. But and in doing so, it's not personal. So like everything OG King CURT, is related to gaming or entertainment or culture or whatever I do aside from personally who I am. And I would tell y'all to do that. Like, don't just like take everything and put it on platforms and let it live and see where it takes you. Because if you're getting 3,000 to 50K views on TikTok, that can easily equate to almost the same thing over on IG, just for people being curious. And then the next thing you know, you'll be getting paid for it, So, and sometimes it's quicker than TikTok. You never know what platform is going to take off at the end of the day. So like I tell y'all the content that y'all doing, expand it and let people be the judge. And then the other thing is, like, I think both of y'all do great things. And the last thing, about it is like, I wouldn't worry about what people got to say. Like, it's always going to be something. This community is never going to be perfect. You're never going to be appreciated by everybody. You only have to be appreciated by the right people. I mean, because at the end of the day, if you do a ranking and people get left off or their buddies get left off, they're always going to have something to say. And there's nothing you really can do about it. I think, in terms, what I said was that, don't always feel like you got to have an explanation. Like, I mean, focus on your content and your brand. I wouldn't even so much care about what people have to say, because in building your brand, it's going to be some people who like it and some people who don't. I remember when I first started putting out OG2CENTS, it was getting 100 likes and thousands of views and everything like that. I don't do that no more. I mean, but the impressions is still is good, so I'm cool with that. But you gotta understand, like, you're never gonna be liked by everybody. It's gonna be some people who like you and some people that don't. But now that, in saying that, like, and that's why I'm glad about this platform and be able to conversate, because I didn't even know, like I said, I didn't know you were doing anything on TikTok. I see a lot and I engage a lot with Ye, but I didn't know you was doing that. So, and one thing I was gonna say about this, and I don't mention it a lot, I have mentioned it in a few interviews, but I was a STNA for 13 years. And like, I see you take a lot of shit about it, and really at the end of the day, that's what I was doing in the process of getting ready to build up the MPBA and things of that nature. So it's always funny, like, how people you know, pick and choose to give people hell about what they're doing, but I was doing the same thing. Like, I mean, the last 3 years before I became the GM, I was a manager at a group home. But I was, like I said, I was at STNA for 13 years, and I know what it's like to go through nursing school because my ex-wife, she's a RN, almost a nurse practitioner now, and so I know what that level of dedication takes. So to scale back is totally understood. Getting into the topic of this whole episode, you know, 2K Pro-Am community then and now. I think it's a perfect blend in this discussion. This is pretty much going to be like a part one because this can go on and on and on. But Ye and Champ, I want y'all to talk about how you view the 2K community way before the league, and then kind of like brush it up currently to some of the drastic changes and differences that you see.
Yeah, I'll touch on this first, and then I'll let Champ go. I kind of came into the 2K community a little bit later than Champ. Champ was one of those comp guys who was probably coming in at 15th, 16th, if I'm not mistaken, Champ. And I kind of came in around 17 is when I started getting on the market there. But for what I've seen, they had the 250K tournament, so it kind of encouraged a lot of guys to be loyal to one organization for the most part. So we've seen the Space Jams and the Island Games come through to where it was not a lot of team hopping, and you associated a player with a certain name. A player with a certain org, if you can say, or a team. And now it's a little bit more cutthroat because now these guys are just kind of take whatever opportunity is given to them. There's a lot more leagues, so it's a lot more opportunity. Sometimes you're playing on a team who can't play in every single league, when back then it was only a handful. So that causes guys to move around. Now we have overnight tournaments that kind of sprung up overnight this past few months with the Hoff League, and it requires a lot of players to kind of move around a little bit, and that's what I've noticed. And another thing that I'm kind of seeing that it's a handful of people who really take control or take the opportunity to kind of build their own brand, and I think we should see a lot more of that from a lot of these guys who are trying to make the league or just trying to make anything out of the esport itself. Back in the day, I feel like every good team that you saw, they were streaming, and it had a bunch of people like watching, like all the Goofies and the JTs and with the Slay Island, they built a big brand. Even like Precise, who were just like a YouTube guy who didn't ever have like a big team for himself, but he still did enough content where we all know who he is. We see it today, but it's just not as much. Like, I don't know if you guys can name 3 guys in post draft right now who are who are really streaming consistently or building a brand other than like the 2K twins. I
can, but two out of those 3, you already know. Like, yeah. I mean, ironically, like Chalk is still streaming and playing in overnight tournaments and competing, and then of course Spam, and then like you mentioned the twins. I think the twins, man, they have a rather unique dynamic that they really could capitalize off of, bigger than what they're doing. I mean, yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. I think like the opportunity is there. I feel like a lot of guys aren't capitalizing on that. Of course, we see like some of the guys who've been around for a while, like you said, Chalk. I think Greenlight is another guy who he's streaming a lot more than he used to in the past, and he's showing that he's still really good, that he can jump back in the league and pick up where he left off. I think Fab is starting to pick up his YouTube a little bit more. We're seeing some from some of the guys who've been around for a little while. But in terms of new names, new guys I've never heard of, I would think every post draft, it should be like at least a handful, 5 to 10 guys who should be putting themselves on the map. And what they're doing, they're playing with those top guys, and they might be in the picture, but they're not capitalizing like the way Bag Motion did or the way King's World is kind of doing for himself. So like I would like to see a lot more of that going forward. But in the back, just kind of bring my point full circle, but back in the day, you saw that from at least 1 or 2 guys from each team, and it'd be good to kind of get back to that old style of frame where everybody's name, like before the fame, is kind of like the only team that kind of sticks together. But other than that, if all these teams had like a core 5 that we can kind of grow up with and see the progression, that'd be great.
All right, so this one I actually kind of want to like Kurt, if you could just restate the question for me real quick, and then I do want to say something about what Ye did say. But could you restate the question for me real quick, Kurt?
Yeah, this pretty much just getting into the topic of this episode is just the 2K Pro-Am community then and now. Just talking about some of the drastic changes and differences from back in the day, before the league and now in the league's existence.
So when the league before the league, and like I know Ye kind of stated, I've been around this community a lot longer than most people probably know. I feel like some people might forget how long I've been involved with this stuff. Like I'm talking about back in the day when crew was the thing. And like, yeah, people might not have known of me because I was involved with Nate and Slay. Me and them, we were childhood friends and stuff like that. And we kind of transitioned from Madden into 2K. And we started playing in like the VBA, the VHL, like the VHL, that's like the NHL, like all these different like leagues. This was kind of like the leagues before like the MPBA and everything kind of came around. It was all that stuff. And like back in 15, I remember like there being like the Jordan Rec, and we were trying to get on courts to play against guys like Spaceship, like with like JT and that. We were trying to actually play against them, and they wouldn't play us because they didn't know who we were. And that has been something that I think has been a continuing problem within the growth of 2K as like a whole for the pro community. Like, yeah, like obviously, like we got that opportunity to play against them, you know what I mean? But like the competitive scene versus that, like from back then to now, I looked at it as primary growth. And what I mean by primary growth is the growth was primarily on the game. Now I feel like the pro growth is third party, like it's a secondary growth. The issue with the growth right now in the pro community as a whole is that it's not growing on the game. It's growing on a third party platform, which is Twitter or, maybe Twitch, but it's not growing primarily on the game where it needs to be. And that's where the core people are. That's where the people who play the game the most are the people who are on the game, not the people who are on Twitter or on Twitch and stuff like that. And the issue with like back then is like people, like it was a lot of word of mouth or just groups of friends that got together to play in these leagues. And that's kind of what built the original community. So it obviously, like you think about the founding fathers of the community, you talk about guys like Kurt, Famous, maybe Comp, obviously, some of the WR guys like Evan and all these guys, they all are like the founding fathers of this community. And then you have like the founding, or I guess in the sense orgs, like you had like Space Jams, you had Island Gang. I mean, I guess with Bear, you had like his Road to Legends team and stuff like that, Slight Work and all that. There's so many different teams. And you kind of mentioned like that idea of team hopping and how it's like a normal thing now. I'll tell you the first time someone team hopped and it became such a controversial thing, I'll never forget it, is when Fab went to Space Jam. And some people will remember that. I remember the conversation that was on social media when this was kind of, I think this was in 18. It was like the start of 18 when Fab left his Slight Work guys to go play with Space Jam. And it ended up not working out. Everyone was like, oh, they're going to win all the leagues. They're going to be good in all these leagues or whatever. They didn't do that. And it shot then Fab ended up going back to Slight Work guys. But like, back then it was kind of like something like, it's kind of like, they talk about like 90s basketball versus today's basketball. It was something that was frowned upon, but now it's something that's just a norm, which is unfortunate because it's like you try to build this brand, you try to build growth with these players and you can't because there's no consistency. And it's like when you have all this jumping around and like, one day I'm on Slight Work, but now I'm on like Cool Gaming 22. It's like there's no consistency in this community, and you can't build anything when it's just this jumbled up crap. Like that's how I look at it. It's just there's too many things going on. And you mentioned the idea of why aren't we getting these new names? And it's because we don't have primary growth. Like people aren't like we used to compete on leaderboards before there was leagues. So
can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the primary growth is really just not coming from Pro-Am. I know it don't really answer the question that Kurt was saying, but we see new stage guys all the time.
Yeah, but here's my thing about it though. Like when I'm talking about primary growth, I'm talking about like, so the reason why like all the teams started out, like how we figured out how to compete against teams was we used to literally invite teams from the top ranking teams on the power rankings on 2K and play against them and match up against them. We don't have that anymore because everyone looks at the rankings on Pro-Am as irrelevant. So there is no like linked to the primary source to find new talent in the game. You want to know what Slay used to do? You know how Slay discovered people like Nudini and stuff like that? He literally looked on the top teams and then like invited players to our party, and we literally would have random people join our party and we run games with them. And if they were good, we were like, yeah, like, and like Rhea was an origination of Island Gang. Like a lot of people don't realize all the people who actually went through that Island Gang team that now are some of the best players in the league. Like you had guys like Mo, and you had guys like I said, like Rhea, Bear was listen, Bear was Team Air Jordan before he was Island Gang. Okay, never forget that one. but my point is that like we had like a primary source that we were using to kind of bring people in, but not the fact that we no longer use that, and now we kind of just like, you know, we play word of mouth, like, or like I don't feel like we have that unique growth that we had before, and now we just depend on like, you know, like, oh, have you been playing with competitive teams? Like a lot of teams don't give opportunities anymore too. Like you see like the rinse, like the recycle thing, like people aren't bringing in new names because they're just like, oh wait, he played for so-and-so, he can come just jump and play shooting guard for us. We're not going to pick up a new name and get our own name. We're just going to pick up that guy and just try to team up on like one big super team. Yeah. So like I said, like the issue is like Pro-Am itself, we don't use our game anymore to like find new talent on there. And like, yeah, like no one's gonna go into the walk-on to find a Pro-Am teammate. Like no one does that. Like let's be real. And like you know, like you could send a group post. I know that like I see some people who used to use the group post on like Xbox. I don't know if PlayStation has it, but they used to do it on Xbox where they would just do group posts. That's what Slay would do too. Slay would use the group post to find new people for us to play with, to run, to like for rankings. But now the competitive scene has gotten to this point where like you don't want to go out there unless you have your best five. Like you don't want to just go out there with anybody. And that's the problem now, is it's gotten to that level where we don't want to go out there with just anybody. And that's,
you got to bring the court grinders back.
Yeah. Is now I had D's on the podcast, and that's one of the things he talked about, Champ. He talked about, you know, the initial leaderboards really meant something. Like it wasn't like what it is now, where people like, you know, don't pay attention to it, or they just look at it as random or whatever. We knew in 2016, 17, like leaderboards matter. Like because when you looked in the top 100, you saw the best players in their teams on the leaderboard. So you kind of, even if you didn't know who some of the players were, you kind of got a feel here and there whether you matched up against them or you saw how productive they was against some of the other top teams. And I think overall, more people stream back then than now. Mm-hmm. Like I think now, if you have to ask me, like if you fast forward it to the league phase, because now and it's changing a lot, because it's a lot different from the original 102 until now. We're talking about going into season 6, where most people are relying on word of mouth, or they are relying on their buddies to like put in a word or anything like that, because they don't stream. They don't do anything to stand out from anybody other than playing the game. So that's the only thing you can be relying on, because at some point, I don't see how players don't get it, but you can't move a brand if the players don't have a brand. Like, because I always ask people, what are you going to do if you go to an organization and you're not winning? Like, how do you separate your value to stay with that organization if you're not winning and you don't have a brand, you don't do anything to help make the brand attractive? What do you do? And I think a lot of people are still not answering the bell when it comes to that. I mean, like I said, we mentioned a lot of, like, if we just name the 3 of the people who are streaming and everything like that in post draft, 2 of them are already known. Like, you know, and Money in the Bank, you know, if they're both draft eligible next year. So it's always funny when you look at it from that standpoint. I think now, I also look at it back in the day, before the league, we had the Pacers event. That's actually when I met you, Champ, the first time. Like I
met Champ too.
Yeah, we had the that's when I met Famous the first time. We had the Pacers event, we had the Cleveland event, and people wasn't scared to come up and say nothing. Now, fast forward that, I was in Vegas, and I went past hundreds of players, And some of them never said anything. I could probably count on one hand how many players actually came up to me and said something.
Yeah.
Like,
You and Chris was chilling upstairs for most of the time.
Well, here and there, but not no. Well, as the tournament went on, but when I initially first got there, I circulated a lot, and most of the time I would go up and introduce myself. Like, I mean, but far as people like coming up and saying something, and then half the time with these players, you won't recognize them in public because they Twitter profile, they got a mask, they cover
anime.
Yeah, it's in it. Like you don't know. But me, you know who I am, like, but so that's something that, you know, that's just extremely funny to me. I mean, and when you can look at now and then, but it's just something that I think people haven't really gravitated to. I think you still got certain GMs and coaches that have bigger brands than players. And like, I always used to tell my players, like, I don't want to be the one with the biggest following or the biggest brand. It makes zero sense because being a GM and coach is not attractive to a younger audience. Being a player is attractive. Like, not GMs and coaching positions are attractive to people who are really closer to getting into that role. You know, whether it's a former player or somebody like you guys has been in a community and been doing things or whatever, but that's not attractive when you're trying to build a fan base. Yeah. And I always tell them that.
And I want to say something on that real quick, Kurt. Like for me, do I wish I could put my full amount of time into doing all this stuff? And could I possibly build the brand to be much bigger? Yes, I could. You know what I mean? Like, but like you said, you do understand, like, from obviously having a healthcare background, knowing what it's like, what you kind of can relate to what I go through, you know, like, this is something, unfortunately, I can't create as a primary. And it's been a tough thing for me because, like, I try my best to put as much into it. And every time I do, it does work out. It does work out very well for me. Like, there's a lot of things that, like, I've wanted to do over the years. And it frustrates me when I don't see players do it with the amount of time that I know they have with the money that they're making. And I'm not acting like they're making crazy money, but like some players, like,
hold on, time out though. People say that, but like, the only people that don't look at it as like realistic money is like people who have actually worked in the workforce. Some of these guys have never had a job.
Yeah.
So $30K is a lot of money. But
yeah,
like,
for 6 months. We're talking about 6 months too.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
and so, like I said, y'all have worked in the work. Like y'all have an idea of what it's like to get up every day.
Yeah, but I still think 30K is a good amount of money, even regardless of like how I look at it. I look at it as like, yes, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like players don't have to work as hard for certain things, but like, I see some jobs and I see the amount of money some people can make in a year from working certain jobs compared to working in the 2K league. And man, I'll take the 2K league 10 times out of 10 compared to some of those jobs. So it's like, my thing is though, like, you get into gaming to try to keep it like, to make it something that you could stay in. Like, if you when you go in as a young age, like, it's great because, like, if I was 18 years old in the NBA 2K league, I'd be doing anything to try to build up because I have opportunity to do, like, there's a lot more opportunities when you're younger versus as you get older because responsibilities start to, you know, add up. Like, you know, once you have kids, you know, things get a lot different. Once you buy a house, things get a lot different. And even just in general, like, once you move, like, even if like you just rent a place or you move out of your family's house, or if you, like, things change over time. So it's like, when you're 18 years old and you're in an esport that's run by the NBA, there's so much potential for you to build, whether, you know, you're seeing like former players becoming, you know, like JT getting on the broadcast, becoming a commentator. You know, you see, you know, now Ye's getting opportunities to make videos on the YouTube channel for the NBA 2K league. I mean, and you got even GMs and coaches. Like, look at your former player, Lav over there. You know, he's a GM of the Cavs. And then you got Nacho over in LA. It's like, there's so much opportunity for players to build up. And like, it's kind of how, like, in healthcare, like, yeah, I might be a tech now, but now I'm building to be a nurse, like, you know, a nurse. Next thing you know, I build my master's to open up, like, whether I want to be a practitioner or I want to open up my own business as a nurse. Like, there's steps to building, and we're starting to see it form in the NBA 2K league, to where you're seeing different steps for people to form. And I just think it's so important for people to build like brands and stuff like that and advertise themselves, to get to that point to where one, it's money in their pockets. Like I hear GMs always talking about like, we're just trying to help our players. We're trying to help you guys, like help yourself, like, feed your families and stuff like that, or put money in your pockets. And like, I feel like some of these players are literally like losing money by not spending that time to build a brand or build content. Like it's so simple.
You know what
like,
it's called, Champ? They get comfortable and get complacent and thinking like, oh, I'm good and I'm gonna be here for a minute. Like, and it's only those who were in the league that may be out of the league for a year or two realize like, damn, like, I really took it for granted. Like, I mean,
look at Fab right now. Like,
yeah, and I said this not too long ago. I said, don't be surprised if you start seeing an influx of older, mature players that show that they still got it, like, and getting another opportunity. Because I look at a lot of the younger players, they don't relish in the moment. Like they're not really, and it's a hard thing to do though. Like, I mean, you literally getting into a league, you become a professional. Think about it this way. Champ, when you was coming up, you played against everybody that was good. Everybody. Like everybody. Yeah, during that window when you came into the 2K community, you matched up and played against everybody that went up. Some of these guys are not doing that. Like, if you look at a lot of these players that was in this draft, and then even some that's coming up in the next, they have not played against everybody that's considered good at the game. Like, and so therefore, the mentality that you need to have to keep that hunger and to stay ambitious about being good in the game, in the league, whether it's pre-draft or whatever, they don't know about that because they haven't competed against those guys who hungry like that every day. Now, understand this too. When you talk about certain opportunities, is that you have some players who play in the league that, of course, you're only getting paid for 6 months. So the other time that they're off in the off season, some may go to work, some may go back to school, and try to create other revenue streams that may not require them to be on the game every day. So that's another reason why a lot of people don't get to play against that competition, because it is mentally draining during the 6 months trying to compete at a high level and win each and every game that you go out and play. And because that's not always going to happen. I mean, and now this year with the 3v3 aspect of it, it's really grueling. You look at it, you going 5v5,
and then 3v3,
then 3v3, 3 weeks, then you alternating back and forth, and and everything like that. So that little breaks that we used to get, like we used to get bye weeks, like teams will have a chance to recharge and stuff. Like you don't have that time anymore. So it does get a lot draining. So when the season is over, those players who get retained, because I know that used to be a big topic, like why players that get retained, they just chilling, they not playing. Now, of course, some chill a lot longer than others, but everybody's situation is different.
Well,
so
let me just comment on something real quick, because I obviously don't want to go too much on like a tangent, but like I look at it like this. All right. So like, I get it. You play in the league for 6 months. It's a lot. All right. You're showing up to practice. You play a game for a long time. You want to relax at the end of that all. But at the same time, it's like when the new game comes out, there is a way to balance yourself as a gamer to make it to where, like, realistically you can play the game and do other things. Like, if I can watch people play the game and I can still work and go to school, I believe people can create some type of schedule to like fit them. But the problem is a lot of gamers aren't on schedules, and that's the biggest thing. And it's also like people don't know what content is. That's the number one thing I've noticed is most people don't know how to get started in content in general. When me and Joe had to literally kick Bears, like we had to kick him into like, oh my God, like the amount of times me and Joe had to yell at Bear to do certain things and edit the way he was editing on certain things, posting certain things, streaming, like the behind the scenes stuff that me and Joe were doing with Bear, like like again, like it was fortunate that Bear's situation that he was in Minnesota, like living there with Kai, but like we had to do so many things to motivate Bear, to push Bear. And like me, I would always make comments to Bear saying like, yo, you're just going to give up again. You know what I mean? Like, you're just going to give up again. And that motivated, like he told me that motivated him to actually drop more videos. And then he started dropping videos and he started getting some good views. You know what I mean? Like he started getting like a couple 5,000, 10,000s. And we were constantly saying, hey, you got to drop this type of video. You got to drop this type of video. I know the videos that get views on 2K. It's the build videos, it's the jump shot videos, it's the dribble videos, and it's all those tutorials on how to be good at the game. And if you play the game that much, you might as well make content around it. And people are too scared to give the secret sauce, as in sense, I guess you could say. But like at the end of the day, everyone usually gets to that point to the secret sauce at one point in this game. And like if the retail is different than the league build, then what's the hurt of giving information to casual people? Like Bear be out here like telling people how to run offenses like 3-2 and all that stuff, and 2-3, well, defenses 2-3 and 3-2, whatever. And he'd be talking about plays and competitive scene. He's giving out all the sauce. And like that used to be the cliche that people would tell me, like, oh, I don't want to give up my like tips to how I play lock. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to give away what I do. But like at the same time, like there is truly no secret when it comes to some things. A lot of people figure things out eventually. So like there's a roadmap out there to be successful. It's just about actually putting the work and taking the time to do it. That's just what I have to say there with that.
No, without a doubt. I'm gonna ask you a few quick questions before we get into the community questions that was asked on that tweet. Thoughts about 3v3?
I'll go first on this one. I think that the 3v3 was a fantastic idea. It was a fantastic conversation. I just don't like the idea of going back and forth between 3v3 and 5v5. I think that is one, mentally draining on the players, and also very hard for a viewer to keep up with, because there's so many 3v3 games. It's overwhelming. And it's like, for me, I tried to watch it and I still watch it, but it's so hard for me to keep up with it. And then there's games off broadcast. Like there's too much going on. They're like, I remember one time there was a crazy series going on off broadcast, and again, it's not the first time this has happened, but like it was a crazy series going on off broadcast that like they didn't get to the end. They literally got to the last shot of the game. I can't remember if it was Dukes or someone. It was like they missed the entire game on the broadcast and they got over to it. And it was like this crazy series. And it's like, I didn't see any of it and I can't go and see it because it was on the command center. So there's no way I'll ever be able to watch that series because I did not get a chance to see it. So it's like, there's just too much going on. Like, and I just think that this is an idea that Harris, so I'm not taking this idea. The idea that Harris had, and this is how the league gets a full year around, which that's another thing. If the league goes a full year around, it will change a lot of lives. People will actually be able to buy a house that are in the 2K league. That's something I had a conversation with Lav, because you only get 6 months of pay in the 2K league. So when you go to show your pay to get a mortgage, they don't let you get the house unless you have to show a full year's worth of pay. So that's a whole other story. But my point is, like, with the 2K league, I think they need to do 6 months of 5v5 and 6 months of 3v3. And what they do is they do the 6 months with 5v5, and then you have to retain 3 players in the off season, and those 3 players then have to go play in the 3v3 league in like the other 6 months. That's how I think the league should be.
You're playing a whole new game though.
Yeah, exactly. But that's fine. That's fine. Like because you keep the 5v5 where it's been, and you just add 3v3 into the other 6 months. So then like those 3 players are streaming, building their platforms. And like, that's because in a sense, the 3 players that most orgs like keep on their teams, those are the long-term players in our league. And those are the players that we want to be building up year round. And we want them to be streaming. We want them to be building platforms versus the players that, might not traditionally be on teams every year, or might just be done with the league. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a great way, a great system, because then the 3 players, they're making year-round revenue, and they're also playing in the off season, and you're not losing them. Because like the problem is, like, we have too many players in this league that they get retained, and guess what? They don't play the game for the next 6 months. And it's gotten better over the years, but that was our biggest issue, is we'd have retained players that just wouldn't play the game for 6 months and then come up to the league, and then they're they're struggling early on, and it's like your team gets out to a slow start because they didn't play the game. So I think that's how you resolve this issue.
Okay. What's your thoughts on 3v3, Ye?
I definitely like the idea. The biggest thing that I think the league did was let the community be able to qualify and then be able to play the pros. Once it shows the skill gap between the community and the pros right out the rip, because it's only one team that's really getting to Indy every time. They got team handles who qualify twice, and then the other 6, 7 teams they have each time just can't make it in. So it kind of quiets a lot of the trash talk in terms of like, oh, why didn't I get in? And if I get to play these guys, how would I perform? You get your chance through 3v3, and you can automatically see how that works. But I think it does. It'll be a lot better, like what Champ was saying, if they were able to kind of space the games out a little bit more. That way we can see a lot of the games, because I think they just kind of jumble them all together, and we have to constantly bounce around to see what's really hot. Once it gets in Indy, I think it looks a lot cleaner. I don't agree with doing the half and half though, because you're playing a whole new game. Some teams might not know who they really want to retain. You might want to keep 2 guys instead of 3, and then teams are going to have to pay more money. Like from an economic standpoint, I don't think it will really work unless you just tell the guys you only can play the retail version, and then they can probably pick up a community guy to join these teams. But that's a whole new thing. That I think it's a lot around. It's a lot of getting around that in terms of making it like a year-round deal for 3v3. I like the overall idea though. I think you're bringing in another audience. Now the kids think they can compete against these guys. A lot of the stage community kind of getting drawn in, getting big names like Ticino and Annoying is huge. And then getting those guys in person is huge, and seeing how they compete in person. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for the Pro-Am community to really appreciate it though, because I think the Pro-Am community they just only really care about getting in on a 5v5 spot. But the people who are really taking it serious are they do have the cognitive thought to be like, okay, if I want to bring more value to my name, I have to play stage or I have to play threes. And they might do that come pre-draft, which I think we're seeing a negative effect in the post-draft, because you're either qualifying for the 2K League tournament, and you should be also trying to get into the UPA tournament that's coming up here in Philly, and they need some 3v3 bodies there. So if anybody's watching this, and you want to get into 2K League, always do what you can to get onto any stage to play in person. If you can get in the UPA stage, play 3v3 and make a name for yourself that way, it's a good start. So maybe we get some new bodies over there to show themselves. But 3v3, to wrap my thought up, 3v3 as an idea, I think it looks good. I think we still have to, there's still some minor adjustments we can make to make it better as an audience, to appreciate it a lot more, to kind of space some of these games out. But I like the direction the 2K League is going in.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead, Champ.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to say something real quick. I think that I mean, I don't want to go too far into this because I obviously know we have a lot of other things to discuss. But if the biggest thing I think is a letdown, and it would be really helpful for the league, is if we're playing the game when the new product comes out. And it would be great for the league to be having broadcasts going on when the game is popping, versus having it going on when the game is a sense near the end of its cycle. So I think having that 3v3 is a better investment. Because again, that's one of the most popular game modes. We have it going on when the game is popular. Plus, we could give the option to players to stay home and play in the 3v3 league. And then they only fly them out for in-person events to save the league money if they wanted to too. And also with the idea where you said some teams don't want to retain 3 players. That's why you have it. I don't want to say the expansion. I don't like to call it the expansion draft, but let's say you don't want to retain a certain player, then you can go out into the expansion draft and take another player that a team didn't want. And so then that way there's an off season, there's a pre-draft before the actual draft. So then no matter what, every team has 3 to go in the off season. So let's say that I want to go, it's like a free, but it's a draft, but basically let's say example, let's say Kurt wanted to hold 2 players and he wanted to he didn't want to have all 3, but now he has the option to go get someone like Lavish from that just got traded. He gets someone like Lavish now on his team, so instead of waiting to get a power forward, then he can just get a power forward here. You know what I mean? It makes it, I feel like having that one, it makes the league to where more players are having a longevity versus being one and dones. because that's the biggest thing. It's like the security in this league. Like, why am I going to be like put all this effort in for the league to have 1 year? At least now you know that, like, let's say what's 3 times 24, 60, 72 spots every year are just like same players. So we're not constantly like having like new, like we're not like flooding the league with too much of new talent. And I'm not saying that that's been a huge issue, but like I think that helps that way for like people to feel like, okay, like I can still have a job, you know what I mean, or I can still be in this league for another 6 months, like, and have some type of security. I don't know. I think there's a lot of conversation.
I think it's all good conversation and trying to figure out what's the best method to make both modes of a 2K league relevant all throughout the year. I mean, so I always think is good conversation. Let's get into some of these community questions. In particular, I think it was at BK Carlos 17. He said, should the 2K league add more teams, even make new ones that's not an NBA team? And I guess he said Gen G is a start. I'll answer that just real quick, because it's some community questions directed it specifically for you, Champ, and then some I'll throw at you too, Jay. Of course, the league is going to always be looking for expansion. I mean, I think it has to make sense for whoever it is trying to join. I think I can see. I would think somewhere down the line you may have independent franchises, you know, wanting to get a team in or whatever. But right now, you know, you're going to be looking at more of your esports organizations that may be non-NBA franchises that's still going to continue to get in. So, I mean, that's always going to be something evident that the league is trying to do. I think the same, you know, just like the evolution that we've seen it go from, you know, 16, 20, 24, like, and then I'm sure some teams will be coming in this upcoming season. So I think that's something that's going to always be the target. Lynn Griffey, if Champ could take one thing he knows now back to when he first became interested in covering the league, what would that be?
I wish I would have known how people would take what I said 5 years ago and take it to this day. So today I'm 25 years old, okay? But I started when I was 20 years old with a lot of what I've been doing. So a lot of people don't realize how young I truly am. And like, I can sit here and say that I've made mistakes and I've overstepped and I've said things that maybe I should not have said. But in the same sense, like, I don't want to use youth as a reason to like for certain things, because at the end of the day, like what you do, you got to live with it, whatever. But like for me, like there's some things I wish I would have been a little less, I guess, forward with. I wish I would have just kind of kept it to myself more. And the problem is I've always kind of been more open mind. Like I've always expressed how I felt about things. And I wish for me, I would have been a little less of that and a little more just kept it to myself. And I think that would have changed a lot of things. There's been opportunities too that I wish I would have taken now versus, you know, today. But at the same time, it didn't make sense for me. You know, I had an opportunity for a coaching position with the Jazz back in season 1. And, you know, I didn't take it because of the finances that they offered me. I didn't feel it was enough money. I didn't want to, like, could I have taken it and just take the hit and just try to see what happens? Like, it's tough. You know what I mean? I'm 20, I'm like 19, 20 years old trying to make this type of decision. It's hard. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Nick, someone who's a very young, coach in this league. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for like younger people like ourselves to like make these type of decisions. And I'm not saying it's not any easier for people as you get older, but like for me, it's like, you know, I'm in college and I'm like, in sense, it's like I drop out of college and go be a 2K coach. It's like, that's a huge, like, that's a risk. You know what I mean? Especially for the money they were going to pay me. Like, I won't share the amount, but it's not like, it wasn't that good. And I was taking a huge risk for an organization that's across the country from me. So it's like, I could I have been a coach at one point in this league? Yes, but at the same time, like it just wouldn't have made sense. And for me, like part of me wishes I would have taken those opportunities and done them. But at the same time, like I am thankful for where I am today because, you know, I mean, I'm happy where I am, But at the same time, I do wish that I was deep, like somewhere in the NBA 2K league helping this league, because there's so many things that I wish I could help this league with, and I know I could help with, but it's just, it sucks being like, you know, you're locked out, you know, you feel like the door is just like, you're trying to break in, you're trying to break your way in. And it's like, it's been tough, but I mean, definitely. And also the Raptors situation, you know, I wish I wouldn't have listened to people who told me to like express that I was more like, you know, that like I was a part of that. You know, I do actually troll about that a lot, like, but I did help that org with a lot of things. I don't want to take credit away from Shane and all them. And yes, the players did pick their friends, but in a sense, like I did really push to get those guys picked on that team, because you know, like they went to me as an analyst, and like, if I'm saying this player's good, the players are saying he's good, it was overwhelmingly to take these players, and it worked out. You know, I mean, the team went 16-0. Like, yeah, my name is attached to that, but in a sense, like, yeah, it's not all me, but I'm a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that I was a part of, and like, I'm gonna take credit for it, because it's something that I'm trying to help project myself into getting into a position to actually make an impact. So, but I do wish I would have been a little less vocal about that and just kept that to myself. But in the sense, it's like, it is what it is. Like I said, it was just an attempt to try to see if I can get myself into a position to put me in a better position. But
right now, now aside, of course, of winning a 2K League championship, I mean, because that's the goal for everybody. What's been your best experience related to the league?
Man, that's a tough question. I think it's more of the networking, getting to know the people that I've come to meet, and learning a lot too as well. And that comes from people that weren't even in the league when I was playing, like guys like Joe Vegas, like even like meeting yourself and some of the nuggets you shared with me, like talking to guys like Famous, even BD, Kyle Rudy, and like meeting guys in all these organization, like guys in Madison Square Garden organization, the NBA itself, and then just learning how to like the network in this field that I wasn't familiar with, because before I got into the league, I was in sales. I was in logistics and sales and kind of did that thing. I'm still doing that now, but the fact that I opened up a whole new bracket for myself to where I can start capitalizing and making money in this field and meeting new people and gaining new opportunities, I think that was the biggest part of my experience, other than actually playing the game. And then be able to pass some of that knowledge down to some of the guys trying to come into the situation, because we were talking about this before about players not capitalizing on their opportunity. As a player, I didn't do that, because in my mind, I didn't know better. I just knew all I wanted to do was win games. I didn't even think about Twitch and YouTube until I was out of the league, and the beer bug came around. So I was like, all right, let me start streaming now. I got all this time and I'm inside. So like be able to pass some of this knowledge down has been huge too, and meet some of these new guys coming in. So I think I came in at the right time, be able to one, meet and network with a lot of knowledgeable people, and then see the new talent come up to kind of build a bigger beginning for the people after them in the next few seasons. So to be like a pioneer in it all was like a big experience.
Okay, just to wrap up this topic before we get to OG Wants to Know, from both of y'all, if you could change anything currently about the 2K Pro-Am community, what would it be?
I'll let you go first on this one, then I'll answer it.
Oh, now you let me go first.
I mean, I can go. Listen, I can step up to the plate. I mean, I was just like, I'll let you get the first opportunity, but I'll go first. I got you. Yeah. If I was going to change anything about this community, I think the number one thing is getting this community to get more engaged with like we talked about brand growing, but getting this community to just like post more, to put some more stuff out there, to build brands, to grow this league, because the more this league grows, the more eventually you guys are going to make more money. I hear players complaining about salaries and stuff like that, and complaining about being away from their families for 6 months and stuff like that. And like, yeah, I get it, man. There's some struggles in this league. That's a part of life. But like, dude, like we can grow this league and get it to like a much bigger platform if you guys build your brands. Like the league has given opportunities. They've played players in the off season to do things, and they just don't take advantage of it. So it's like, I just want to see more I just want to see more players building brands, but I also want to see orgs start teaching players about brand building more, because it's like, I feel like some people show up and they just expect results. Like we gotta start educating everybody. And like we talk, Ye talked about how he didn't think about a lot of these stuffs and didn't know this stuff. Well, then we need to change that. That's something that we do. And I'm sure there has been some changes with some orgs, but we do need to educate our guys, and we need to introduce them to people who do know how to do this stuff, so then they can take it for their own their own knowledge and build something. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is we need to create a system to where we're educating and brand, like teaching our players how to build brands and not just be players. That is the biggest thing. We got to stop just being players. We got to be esports in general, because this is an entertainment industry. This isn't just about playing the game. It's about being more than, just the game of 2K. So that's just my biggest thing that I would change.
No, I agree. I mean, and well put. At this point of the show, this OG wants to know, rapid fire questions. I ask the questions. I want both of y'all to each answer. Just give a direct answer. No explanation needed. Just straight shoot it. Best coaching candidate for season 6.
Ooh, Yeynotgaming.
Dejo Vegas.
Number 1 pick prediction for season 6.
Greens.
Okay. Best pro-am team you ever seen.
Ooh, best pro-am team I ever seen.
The team with
what's
the
that?
team with Kai and them. No, the team with Kai and them on it.
Oh,
you had Kai, Slaughter, TB. You also had Bash. You had Bear on the 6-man. That is one of the greatest teams that has ever been in the ever. So that's one of the greatest pro-am teams I've ever seen. They won the most money.
That's true. My favorite team to watch was probably No Smoke.
Okay. Now this is predictions for this season. Most valuable player.
Creator Beast.
Who'd you say? Yeah.
I said Kai.
Defensive player of the year.
Shifty.
Coach of the year.
Nick Gartrell.
Ooh, see, my coach of the year is a little different. I gotta go with Jeff.
Okay. Team that'll win the championship.
Team that'll win the championship.
Team that'll win the 3v3 championship and 5v5 championship.
It's hard to say. It's hard not to say T-Wolves win the championship.
I don't think so.
Remember, I said 3v3 and 5. So you got
3v3. I'll say Duke's Gaming.
Okay.
Honestly, for 3v3, I think the Wizards are going to do it. I really do think the Wizards will do it in 3v3. 5v5, the team I think that's going to win it all. My God, I don't want to go with the T-Wolves because I feel like there is a huge upset factor with that team. I do think that the Warriors are going to do it this year. I think that the way the practice, I think it's going to work out for them. I think that the Warriors are going to have a route that is much better compared to the T-Wolves route, and I think that they're going to get it this year.
You think Mom will be able to do anything that Kai's doing?
He doesn't need to. I think that he just needs to make a couple more shots than Antoine, and that's one of the best teams in the league.
Hey, if you can build a team around any player, who would it be?
Fair to Beast.
Rhea.
Okay. And to cap it all off, if you could head any franchise in the NBA 2K League, which one would it be?
If I could have it, like just it's mine. Like literally, I'm running the entire org with the current roster, or is it an empty roster?
It's just the franchise you would like to run to operate.
I mean, I'd love to run any team that's near me and home. So either Philly, New York, any of the New York teams. So either the Knicks, Nets, or Sixers. One of the three.
What about you, Ye?
I'll say with me, it would probably be a popular city, a big city with a big organization. So I see how big MSG is. So I would either say the Knicks or like the Lakers.
Got you. Now, before we get out of here, just what's next with you guys, man? Like, what we shooting for? Like, what's going on? I think, I know you mentioned something about the UPA and Philly. Are you plan on it? Are you going or and Champ or what you doing? Are you going?
Yeah. So I'll go first on this one. So I am going to be going to Philly. I actually am going to be talking to Lux about something, to team up with you on. I'll talk to you about that definitely. An idea that I have, kind of like a TNT type idea that we could do in Philly. So I'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, I do plan on going to Philly, just to obviously do something in that sense, some type of content for the UPA. Obviously, I do also plan to go to the NBA 2K League playoffs. That's in late I will be done with school at that point, so I'll be able to go to the playoffs. So I'll definitely be there for the playoffs and the finals for 5v5. So I'll definitely be there. And then leading up to pre-draft, I'm kind of get back into that cycle where I am releasing content and covering around the community and kind of doing what I was doing before, but doing it on a different level and kind of building upon doing the cycle of making build videos and trying to educate more on 2K on that sense of things. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to doing in the fall more versus doing right now.
What you got? Yeah, what you gonna be up to other than UPA?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off what Champ was saying, I'll be in Philly, planning to be there. Hopefully helping out with the broadcasting or doing some content on the side. On top of that, building the 5Y brand, building my personal brand, getting videos on YouTube, YouTube Shorts, IG, and on TikTok, and growing those pages out, along with working about my regular job work at Salesforce, and trying to figure out some opportunity there to see if they'll delve into the esports realm. But I think esports has come a little bit bigger to actually get a lot more control and make that a vertical. But that's a whole different conversation for another day. And on top of that, just be a fan, man. I just love watching hoops, man. I just love watching people hoop. So I'm still gonna be in the streams for 2K League games, whether it's 5v5, 3v3, and then be in person here in Indy. I got the luxury of being in the city that they're actually playing in and coming in and be able to chop it up with some of the players and the coaches and GMs and the broadcasting staff, content creators, and be able to network that way and see my guys. So that's pretty much it, man, for the rest of the summer.
Appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate having you guys on. I mean, I respect what y'all do. I mean, actually, the funny thing, I say this all the time, that I remember when I started doing a lot of articles and different type of publications for the NPBA, highlighting players and different things of that nature. It was kind of something I really enjoyed doing. And really, I got the idea from Dan, I forget his last name, but he ran the ABL. That was the first league I participated in. And he did a lot of graphics and different things like that. And ironically, I still have pictures of those. I actually need to do some throwback days or something like that. But I still got pictures, a lot of graphics that he did and things like that. But I truly enjoyed that because when I was coming up, I wanted to be a journalist. So it kind of fit up my alley to still be able to do, live out some of that when we was running the NPBA. But watching you guys do it, I think it's important. And I think, Champ, I got on, it struck me because we don't have a lot of people independently covering a league like that that's really passionate, that know, a lot of the ins and outs and what's happened over the years. So I think it's important that those people stay connected to the league in some sense. I mean, I understand about the economic pressures of trying to keep a brand alive and, have a website and have, get graphics done and all this. And I understand totally what, how that works. But I just think staying connected in some type of way, because we need our version of 247 Sports and, rivals and different things. We need that. I think that's why I kind of think of Ye with doing 5Y. I get a chance to watch his videos. I watch the YouTube videos about upcoming players and different things and that. And I think we need that. And I think really to a degree, if you can, y'all have a chance to get access we don't even have a chance to get, because, at some point down the line, tampering comes into play and different things of that nature. But being able to create outlets that's exclusive and have that type of information and shoot, smack a fee on it, like and different things like that. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you may have thought about it, but I'm reiterating. Like, I mean, it's something that's necessary. I mean, even I think Champ, like, the one thing about it, I know, and it hits heavy during pre-draft is when you have your shows on and doing the mock drafts and different things like that. But I think sometimes even, deeper than mock drafts is just showing and telling why you think, this player is this and this player is that, kind of being like the, our own Mel Kiper or Shams or what, like all of that combined into one. I mean, and you did a great job pumping your platform on Twitch, getting partnered and things like that. But I just think everything that y'all touch and y'all do, just keep trying to heighten it, and it's gonna thrive. I mean, eventually. I mean, it's worked out for a lot of different people. I mean, I'm not the only one sitting in a position I never thought I'd be sitting in, and just due to grinding and a lot of hard working and believing in yourself. And I guess this the top it all off is like, be confident in what you do. Don't let nobody talking shit deter you from doing, what you want to do. I mean, it's okay, Champ, to use that block button. I'm telling you, it's okay. It's because I do it. I have done it, and I don't mind it. Like, I mean, it's okay because you're not losing nothing with people like that. I mean, it's some people in our community that wake up every day to find out whose life or whose world they can disturb. Like, I mean, that's literally their purpose. So just ignore the noise, keep doing what y'all doing. Before we get out of here, I want y'all to plug y'all social channels, your content, where they can find it, all of that. Let it rip.
You got this, yeah. I'll finish it off.
Okay. Find me on Twitter at Yeynotgaming. That's YEYNOTGAMING. With TikTok as Yeynot TikTok. It's 2 T's in the middle, so it's YEYNOTTIKTOK. And then Yeynot Official on Instagram. Also follow the 5Y Esports pages. That is 5Y Esports on IG, doing a lot of IG reels, showing some of the up and coming pro-am talent, top 25 at each position, showing you little clips on these guys' talent levels, also underrated versatile players. It's the kind of the series we're going at. And we're using going after the Yay ladders on TikToks at the moment. So stay tuned on those as well. And then on Instagram, not Instagram, but YouTube is Yeynotgaming. That's Yay space, not space gaming. We're able to find those shorts as well. Going to get back and doing some longer shots after the 2K League to kind of pick back up where we left off, going into Philly and some of these pro-am teams and players to bring some exposure that way, get some live streams going. Pick up with my boy Champ here and get him on camera sometime soon. So make sure you follow all those platforms.
And for me, listen, it's ESGN2K across all platforms. Doesn't matter whether it's TikTok, Twitch, even Instagram. Like I said, it's ESGN across all platforms. If you guys personally want to find me, you look up Champ2k_. I'm always open to anything if you guys need help with anything. And like I said, like for me, like for upcoming content, I will be, covering the league and stuff like that in person when I go to the playoffs and stuff like that. And there'll be a lot of things I'll be getting back to once the, new cycle of 2K starts.
Well, cool, man. Like I said, appreciate y'all. Also, DrinkCTRL. Hey, if you ain't tried it, I'm telling you, it's good. All right, they got the bars and they got the meal. They got the the meal replacement shakes. But use my code and check it out if you ever think about doing that.
You could send some control to me while you're sending me some jerseys of Nets Gaming Crew. You can send me some control.
Yeah, Kurt.
Gotcha. I can
control and some merch.
I can make that happen. Now, mind you, when it comes to the merch, we don't
jersey. I don't want.
Hey, we don't splurge. We don't splurge as much as some orgs do when it comes to that. But definitely, we can make that happen. Now, I got you, Champ. I got you.
All I need is a jersey. I don't need. I already got the hat. I already got some. I already got some from you. I need an actual jersey.
No, I can make that happen. Matter of fact, it'd be an easier transition. And If I know, because if you're gonna be there for the playoffs and everything
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, I just make sure I bring something with me. But no, I got you that. Yeah, what did you say you needed?
That's what, man. Anything I can rock, like t-shirt, hoodie,
Whatever you can control.
don't matter. Whatever you can
Yeah,
get.
just like man, make sure I get the sizes off the air and then we'll make something shake. Matter of fact, I wanted to say this. You know, y'all recap from Philly, have y'all back on. We can talk about it. I'm actually gonna be at home during that time, but we may, you know, hopefully I'm trying to make it where Christian get out there and be able to scout and things of that nature. But recap, we bring it back to the pod and talk about it. But man, other than that, y'all keep up the good work and see you guys soon, man.
See ya.
Appreciate you having me.
And I want to thank everybody who tuned in for this episode, especially a big shout out to Champ and Ye for stopping by. Always a good time to talk with them. Make sure you follow them on all their platforms. Definitely some good guys that you might want to keep up and know, especially if you're looking at making a run at the 2K League. Make sure you subscribe to the OG2CENTS podcast, like I said, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as well. Follow the OG2CENTS podcast on social media at the OG2CENTS podcast. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow myself, OG King CURT, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at OG2CURT. Make sure you stop by www.ogkingcurt.com for everything with the OG2CENTS podcast and the OG King CURT brand. Make sure you check it out. DrinkCTRL. Everybody knows that I'm on a basket with them, actually rocking the hoodie today. Definitely, you want to make sure you check out DrinkCTRL. DrinkCTRL contains all that you ask for from a powerful powdered meal replacement shake. It tastes like the bottom of a cereal bowl and it's healthy. Not only does DrinkCTRL have meal replacement shakes, but now you can get a meal to go bar as well. Go to DrinkCTRL.com and use the code OG King CURT for discounts on all their products. Catch me on EsportsXTRA every Saturday and Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BNC Go. That's with host Larry Ridley, Coach K, Andrea Richmond, a.k.a. Bordy McBoard, Derwin Royale, Brandon Bell, Jay Alford, and Antonio Williams. Check out EsportsXTRA every Saturday and Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BNC Go. Also follow EsportsXTRA on Twitter and follow Compete Forever on Instagram. You can go to www.skulls.com/OGKingCurt and get your OG King CURT and OG2CENTS podcast merch. We have anything there from hoodies, long sleeve tees, joggers, mugs, phone covers, you name it. You can find it there. So make sure you shop there today. www.skulls.com/OGKingCurt. You can use the discount code OG15% and get 15% off your order. So make sure you shop there today. Make sure you tune in to next week's episode. And remember, if it makes sense, it's an OG2CENTS. OG out.
Put this work in, fellas. And much, much, much love to the entire 2K community for always showing me love. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. Yeah.